So guys, the next principle here is confidentiality and privacy. So one of the important things that we are doing in the hospital is that dapat confidential, dapat private yung pasyente na. The picture at the back reflects one of the most common challenges right now in confidentiality and privacy. And that common challenge when it comes to your confidentiality and privacy is the use of technology. Okay? The use of your technology has become a challenge in your confidentiality and privacy. Bakit po siya naging challenge? Ano? Kasi class, when you talk about technology, technology has allowed us to communicate easily. But with that easy communication, their confidentiality and privacy is also easily threatened. Okay? So magkaganon, technology is a blessing, but in the wrong hands, it may be actually a curse, no? Especially on the confidentiality and privacy of our patients. Now, let's try to discuss the principles one by one. When I talk about confidentiality, it is the obligation to hold that information in confidence. Okay? Hold the information in confidence. It is a state, it is when it is intended or expected from someone to keep the information secret. Okay? In other words, hindi dapat sinishare sa iba. In other words, dapat natago lang between sa'yo at ng pasyente mo. Because when I talk about confidentiality, the word confidentiality is coming from the word confidence, okay, which is equipped with or which is equated to trust. Okay? So confidentiality, confidence, trust. Ganon. Information shared between the patient and the doctor will not be told to the third party. And when I talk about the third party, guys, ang isa yung dapat isipin is that the third party also include other nurses and doctors. Other nurses and doctors. So halimbawa, Halimbawa, I have a sister, for example, na doctor. Okay? If this sister of mine is not my doctor in the hospital, she actually does not have a right to access my records. Wala siyang right para ma-access ang record ko. Okay? So sino yung may right na mag-access ng record ko? Yun ay si nurse ko lamang at si doctor ko lamang. Halimbawa, nurse ko si Nicole. Sinabihan ko si Nicole, alam mo Nicole, ito yung dahilan kung bakit nagkasakit ako. To whom can Nicole share it? Kanino mo siya pwede i-share, Nicole? Sige. Others can also answer. Yes, Nicole, go ahead.
Sa physicians lang po, sir.
Sa physician ko lang rin. Sa physician ko lang rin. Hindi talaga pwede na i-share niya sa ibang tao sa hospital. Okay? Kindly take note of that. Paano, sir, kapag kapatid siya ng medical director? Hindi pa rin pwede. You need to inform the medical director, doctor, with all due respect to you, I'm so sorry I could not share the chart with you. Okay? Nasa kanya na yun, guys, kapag mamimilit siya or hindi, but you need to remind him that by ethics, you are obliged to keep the chart from him because you are supposed to have the chart access only by the doctor and then by the doctor and the nurse taking care of the patient. That is what your confidentiality is. So, anong mga implications ng confidentiality? Information is only accessible to those providing care to you. Okay? In other words, if a med tech will be extracting blood from this patient, can the med tech access the chart of my patient? Palagay nyo. If yung med tech kukuha ng dugo ng pasyente ko, pwede niya bang i-access ang chart ng patient ko? Sige na, responses. Sige na, chat. MedTech is extracting blood to my patient. Can he access the chart of my patient? Yes. Kindly take note of that. But her access to the chart is only by the time before she will be extracting the blood and after she extracted the blood. After that, wala na po pang dapat tingnan. Okay? Sir, paano po? Bakit po kailangan niyang tingnan ng chart? The MedTech has the right to know what is the reason why this patient needs this laboratory. Other than that, the MedTech also needs to counter-check the doctor's order for her to know whether this request was given correctly or not. Now, No one else is entitled to the information unless the patient has signed a consent of release of information. Okay? Halimbawa, may lawyer na pupunta, no? Halimbawa, si Nurse Amil, si Nurse Armil. Okay, si Nurse Armil halimbawa, yung in charge kay patient. Tapos sinabi ng lawyer, "Hey, Nurse Armil, I am a lawyer. I need information about your patient." Can the lawyer access the chart? Can the lawyer access the chart? Hindi. Hindi po siya pwedeng mag-access ng chart unless if the patient has given the consent for the release of information. Okay? Unless if the patient has given the consent to release for information. Pero bakit pag magkaganon? Lawyer man siya ng patient or lawyer siya ng another party who is accusing the patient, he does not have the right to access the chart. Okay? Eh sir, halimbawa, paano naman kung ang pasyente ko sir is criminal? Pag proven na siyang criminal, can the chart be accessed by legal authorities? The legal authorities can access the chart by subpoena. The legal authorities can access the chart by subpoena. Okay? Halimbawa, parang ganito lang to guys, no? Kapag yung pulis tumutuspetsa sa isang bahay, halimbawa, sinususpetsahan ng pulis that there is a crime going on in a certain home, pwede lang ba silang pumasok or kailangan nila ng arrest warrant? Or kailangan nila ng search warrant? What do you think? Sige. Okay, yes, Maricon.
Sir, kailangan po nila ng search warrant po muna bago po makapasok sa bahay.
Correct. Kailangan nila ng search warrant. Ha? Kailangan ng search warrant. In the same way, kapag yung pasyente mo, sinususpetsahan, suspect pa lang, ha? Suspect. If your patient is still a suspect, they need a warrant for them to view the chart. Okay? For them to even go and visit the patient. Hindi pa pwede na ang police kakatok lang, no? Kakatok lang sa door ng pasyente at saka sabihin na, ay, siya nga, ay siya yung kriminal, usasan nyo yan. Hindi po pwede. Okay? So confidentiality violation, when is this commonly violated? I might have emphasized this along our discussions, but just to refresh you, discussing patients outside the clinical setting. Halimbawa, punta tayo ng SM, pinag-uusapan natin yung pasyente. Kasi sabi natin, hindi naman sila magkakilala eh. Telling friends or family about the patient. Halimbawa, sinabihan mo boyfriend mo, "Uy, alam mo, pasyente ko si ano. Alam mo yung si ano, yung sakit niya ganito, ganito." Or even discussing the patients in elevator, cafeteria, or any area outside the nurse's station. That is considered to be a violation of the patient's confidentiality. Okay? Guys, wag na kayong magdahilan na, "Sir, hindi naman namin sinasabi yung pangalan. Sir, hindi naman nasabi yung room number." Class, paano kapag yung description mo, hawig talaga sa kakilala niya? Let's say, for example, pinag-uusapan mo, "Uy, alam mo, may estudyanteng nurse, ang bata pa, 20 years old, tapos may HIV na." Eh, paano kung may kakilala siyang ganon? At saka in-approach niya, at saka nalaman na nurse ka pala niya. Okay, you will be held liable against the court of law. Okay, that's why do not even try about it. Okay, I've already heard about many cases of that, and the usual po na nangyayari is sa elevator po sila nagkakahulihan. Sa elevator talaga nagkakahulihan. Now, so how to maintain confidentiality? Do not discuss with others who are not involved on the care of the patient. Do not share information with others, family members, friends, neighbors man ng pasyente, or even members of the press. Napakalaking kasalanan yung members of the press. Pero ang pinaka-common na nangyayari dito sa atin is sharing information to the family members, friends, and neighbors of the patient. Okay? Eh sir, asawa niya naman yun. Eh sir, paano? Anak niya naman yun. Hindi. It does not follow that because they are immediate family members, you can share the information to them. Bakit? It's the patient's right to hold on to that information and to reveal it when he or she deem it appropriate. Okay? Halimbawa, nadiskubrihan na si patient A may cancer. Pero sabi ni patient A, "Nurse, wag mo nang sabihan yung pamilya ko." The patient has the right to do it. Okay? And you as a nurse can in fact just say, "Okay, sir, I will respect your decision. But if ever that you want them to be informed and help you with that, let us know." Okay? Anong gagawin mo? Maybe you can call for the doctor. And then the doctor will explain it also to the family members if the patient warrants it. If the patient warrants it. Okay? So mag-ingat sa ganyan kasi kadalasan ina-assume natin na tayo pamilyang Pilipino. So we might be thinking na wala tayong tinatago sa isa't isa. So be mindful. Experience in the hospital has taught me that family members have very different dynamic. Paminsan-minsan guys, no, kung sino pa yung madalas yung bisita sa hospital, actually yung kalaban ng pasyente. Okay? Yes, Rinia, you have a question in mind?
Opo, Sir Demaya po. Meron po bang times na sinisisi po nung family member yung nurse kasi hindi po sinabi yung sakit po nung family member po nila?
I like your question, and to answer you honestly, yes, no, there are also instances like that. No? Oh, with that answer, sasabihin nyo siguro, sir, saan kami lulugar? Okay, saan kami lulugar, di ba? So guys, just take note that the main concern that you have is to protect the interest of your patient. To protect the interest of your patient. Okay? Pag magkaganon, no, you can just tell your family members, Ma'am, I'm so sorry. The patient has opted not to inform you about this. Okay? Pero wag magpahalata, halimbawa, may sakit yung pasyente. Tapos sabihin, Ma'am, sorry, sabi kasi ni sir, wag kayong sabihan. The best way for you to say it is, Ma'am, halimbawa, tinanong ka ng family member na, the best way for you to say it, Ma'am, you can ask the patient about this. Okay, Ma'am, you can ask the patient about this. Okay? Marami kasi guys, kinoconsider din yung pasyente. Kadalasan, yung Pinoy kasi, yung hilig po natin is for us to sacrifice. We are also accustomed on, ano ang sabi nito? Parang ayaw nating nagwo-worry yung ibang tao, even our family members. Okay, so, pero you know, the bottom line, i-inform din naman yun eh. Pag i-inform din yan, naghihintay lang yan ng proper timing. So pag magkaganon, no, you do not share the information to others. Now, friends, be careful also if who are those people that the patient consider as friends, no? Remember, if you would want to know whether someone is a friend of your patient, it is not that person whom you would be asking. Instead, guys, you should be asking the patient himself. Okay? In the same way, the same rin class kapag tumatanggap tayo ng visitors. Okay? Halimbawa, sabihin, uy, pupunta ako kay patient Albert John Forte. Do not just think na kakilala ko yun bilang pasyente. Okay? So dapat tanungin nyo muna, tanungin nyo yung patient, yung bisita. Ma'am, kaano-ano nyo po yung pasyente? Pagkatapos pag sinagot, ay kaibigan ko, ma'am, in a while i-check ko lang muna. Tapos tatanungin nyo ako bilang patient, sir, meron pong ganitong tao na gustong bumisita sa inyo. Okay lang po ba? Okay? Because again, not all visitors are welcome to the patient. I have not witnessed this, but I have heard stories of patients having cardiac arrest kasi yung bimusita nga is yung mortal enemy niya pa. Kaya yung nagbisita pa is a mortal enemy niya. Okay, so be careful about that, Be careful about that. Okay, so it happens, no? It happens. Now, another thing is social media, no? Media, members of the press. So pag member of the press naman, guys, hindi po tayo yung tamang tao para kausapin yung media. Who is the right person to do that? Your hospital should have a public information officer. Okay, your hospital should have the information officer. Kapag sa private setting, kami minsan, yung nagko-communicate na amin dati is our marketing officer. If not the marketing officer, it is our medical director who is communicating already to the media. Why? We need to be careful of the information that the media is releasing us. Pagkatapos, no, baka sabihin nyo, harapin na namin ng media tapos sasabihin na wala kaming sasabihin, wala kaming ibibigay na information. Pero guys, mind you, the media is very persistent. Okay? Hahabulin ka niyan, paglabas mo ng hospital, magbibigla ka na lang, may naghahabol na media sa'yo to ask questions. So as a nurse, do not answer to the media. It goes without saying that do not answer to anybody who will be asking you questions if you do not know who they are. Okay? If you do not know who they are. Common na na-experience ko sa hospital is the insurance company. Okay? Insurance kasi guys, no, I don't know if you've heard of them or maybe some of you might have this. You have what we refer to as your HMO. Your HMO is your health maintenance organizations. Okay, in simple terms, para sila yung insurance. Okay? So guys, yung pinaka-common nating insurance is PhilHealth. Other than PhilHealth, we have your private HMOs. I am not endorsing them, but the commonly that I can hear is here is PhilCare, you have MaxiCare, IntelliCare, Whole Life, mga ganon. So those are private insurance. Guys, it is the role of the insurance company to ensure, okay? To ensure, it is their role to ensure that the right coverage is given to the patient. Ano pong ibig sabihin ng right coverage? So kumbaga, titingnan niya, tamang sakit nga ba? Tamang management nga ba? Makatotohanan nga ba na na-admit talaga ang patient or gawa-gawa lamang kwentong? Because it will be the insurance who will be paying for their entire salary. Okay? So it will be the insurance that will be paying for their entire, hospital stay. Okay? So, ano naman ang punto nito when it comes to confidentiality? Kadalasan, class, the insurance company would be going to your nurse's station. Tapos sasabihin ng insurance personnel, nurse, pwede ko pa bang buksan yung chart? Guys, be careful. Be careful. Okay? What do you need to ask from this insurance personnel? Always ask for an identification card. Para sa ano yung identification card? Just for you to make sure that he or she is indeed part of the insurance company. Tapos, magtanong, sir, allowed po ba kayo ng patient na buksan yung chart? Kadalasan, guys, may pine-present din silang disclosure agreement. Okay? May pine-present silang disclosure agreement. The one that the patient signed by the time that they started with the insurance, indicating that they can divulge the information to the insurance for the insurance to verify whether the information is correct or not. Okay? Tawag po natin dyan is your disclosure agreement. Earlier, I think we have a different term. Another term earlier was consent for release of information. Okay? Parang the same din po yan, class, no? Yan po tinatawag nating disclosure agreement. In other words, nag-agree ang pasyente, oy, sige, insurance, you have the right to check my chart as long as makakover yung diseases ko by the time that you have evaluated my chart. Okay? Ganon yan. Now, so, be careful with that. You need to ask for identification card. I've already heard of stories wherein may taong nagpe-pretend pagkatapos sabi insurance siya. Tapos ang bottom line is hindi pala. Kaya hindi pala siya insurance. So who will be held liable for that? It will be class the nurse on duty and then also the security guard who made him enter the hospital premises, for that matter. Okay? Now, sir, paano kapag yung doktor at saka yung nurse or kung sino man na tumitingin sa chart, nagpipicture ng chart? Is it okay to photograph the chart? Okay lang kaya na mag-photograph ng chart? Okay? Nakikita ko yung mukha nyo, sinasabing hindi. Kay class, bawal po yung photograph ng chart. Sir, paano naman kung laboratory findings lang? Okay? Halimbawa, laboratory findings, hindi pa rin class. Ipa-photocopy niya yung chart. Ipa-photocopy yung chart. Sir, modern times na tayo ngayon, bakit hindi po pwede ng photograph? Guys, photography is done usually using your personal cell phones. If the photography class would be the use of personal phones, we do not warrant it because it could be easily spread. Madali po siyang ikal. Tandaan yung ganon. Sir, paano kung hospital policy na pwedeng mag-take ng picture using the hospital phone? If that's your hospital policy, okay. Basta hospital phone siya. Okay? So those are for the insurance companies and etc. to not just allow them to take pictures. Okay? That should be clear in your policies. Now, do not also publish information or embarrass facts about the patient. So sabihin, sir, yung post ko sa Facebook, wala namang pangalan. Ilang beses ko nang sabihin, may pangalan man or wala, basta it's about the patient, it's about the patient. Okay? Now, may ibang topic muna ako. Okay? Halimbawa, tayo nagtatrabaho sa Hospital A. Okay? Halimbawa, tayong lahat nagtatrabaho sa Hospital A. Pagkatapos, somebody of you posted, I hate my boss. Okay? Ganyan yung post, no? I hate my boss. Now, pag sinabing I hate my boss, tapos na-call ng HR ang attention mo, halimbawa sasabihin, uy Jolene, nakita ko hate mo yung boss natin doon sa post mo. Hindi naman pwedeng sabihin ni Jolene na, hindi ko naman nilagay pangalan ni boss, hindi ko naman nilagay pangalan ng chief nurse, hindi ko naman nilagay pangalan ng medical director. Hindi pwedeng gano'n. Okay? Why guys? If titingnan ko yung account natin, nakita doon sa account natin magkasama tayo sa isang picture. We are working in Hospital A. Even without you saying, you are actually ruining the company wherein you are working. You are actually ruining the company where you are working. So ethics tells you that if you have any problems with your company, do not post it in Facebook. Do not post it in Facebook. Other than that, guys, it does not usually end well with the company that you will have. Okay? So, anong ibig kong sabihin? Your company class might be giving you lower evaluation scores. Your company class might be subjecting you for your suspension. Your company might be subjecting you for dismissal from the company. Okay? Kahit di mo sinabi yung pangalan ng company, as long as your account indicates that you are from that company also, wala kang magagawa. That's it. Okay? Sir, wala naman silang pakialam sa Facebook ko. Yes, that's your Facebook, but by the time that you posted it, it's already a public. It's already in the public. Okay? So ano ang usual advice ko dyan? You just post anything to which you can be accountable to and responsible. To which you can be accountable to and responsible of. In other words, kahit anong i-post mo, basta kaya mong panagutan, go ahead, post it. Pero pag hindi mo kayang panagutan, think twice before you do. Okay? Minsan yung galit natin, class, no, kapag doon natin sa social media ilalabas, baka po bumalik pa sa atin. Okay? Baka po bumalik pa sa atin. Now, we are also not supposed to access medical records when unauthorized to do so. Halimbawa ako, girlfriend ko, halimbawa, pa-admit. Tapos pupunta ako ng hospital. Uy, nurse ako, nagtuturo nga ako sa schools. Ipakita mo yung chart ng girlfriend ko. Hindi pwedeng ganun, no? Pag ganun yung gagawin ko, pwede nyo akong ireklamo sa Board of Nursing. Tapos sabihan ng Board of Nursing, o itong nurse na to, okay, kunin nyo nga yung license niya, ang bastos. Okay? Tapos sharing patient information only in private and scheduled areas. Okay? So ano pong ibig sabihin ng private and scheduled areas? Isa na po dyan is yung nurses station natin. Okay? Of course, your nurses station is ought to be, anong tawag natin dyan? A private area. Now, ito lang kadalasan na notice ko sa hospital. Kadalasan kasi class yung water dispenser na sa nurses station din. Pagkatapos yung family members hihingi ng water, no? Pagkatapos yung mga nurses daldal doon kung kaninong pasyente. So be careful, ha? Baka minsan yung mga kasamahan ng pasyente nyo nasa likod nyo and then you are talking about your patient. Okay? Then another thing is that you can have your private area also in a conference room. Okay? When does this happen? For example, if you call for a family conference. Okay? If you call for a family conference. Okay? Halimbawa, papatawag natin yung interfamily. Tapos gusto natin silang kausapin. Gusto natin silang kausapin due to the prognosis of the patient. So take note ha, pag sinabi kong prognosis, outcome. So halimbawa, no, napagtanto na ng doktor. Sabi ng doktor, parang mahina na talaga ang recovery nito. More or less in a month, mamamatay yung pasyente. So kailangan kausapin yung pamilya as long as the patient has allowed it. So you can arrange for the use of your conference room. Ha? Hindi po pwede na doon po kayo sa nurses station mag-usap. Tapos magmi-meeting kayong nakatayo ang lahat. Pagkatapos kung sinong dadaan nakikinig na rin. At hindi po yun political. So dapat po inside a closed area. And then plus, it includes protecting also the medical record, including the electronic health record. Okay? What's one way to protect that one is, one way to protect is do not share your passwords. Do not share your username and password. Okay? So hindi po pwede. By the time siguro na magtatrabaho kayo, marami ng hospital or halos lahat ng hospital, HRIS na. Or I mean, may HIS na, which is the hospital information. So hindi pa pwede, halimbawa, na sabihin ni Kate, Nicole, ikaw na munang mag-login dyan sa akin. No? I-login mo lang yung account ko. Tapos Nicole, pa-request naman ng mga gamot ng pasyente ko. Hindi pwedeng ganun. Okay? The account that belongs to you is supposed to be accessed by you only. Okay? That's how it works. No? Now, let's talk about privacy. Okay? When I say privacy, it is a state when an individual is free from public interruption. The keyword there is that free from public interruption and intrusion. Then privacy is obviously coming from the word private, okay, indicating that the role of the public is limited. Again, indicating that the role of the public is limited. Now, maintaining the privacy of medical information in the literal sense saves lives. Bakit po siya makakapag-save ng life? Because the very reason naman that our patient is seeking medical care is for their privacy. If we will be sharing all of this information, if we cannot safeguard the privacy of our patient, what's the use pa na nagpagamot yung pasyente na? Okay? So if you're copying, the keywords there that you can have is free from public interruption and intrusion. That's the keyword of privacy. Kung kaya nga, usual na example ko dito sinasabi, kapag na-admit si mayor sa hospital, hindi po natin pinapaalam yan sa entire country o yung mayor namin na-admit dito sa hospital namin. Hindi po pwede. Kasi by the time that people will be going to the hospital, okay, your mayor's privacy is already disrupted. Kindly take note of. Then, violations to privacy. Taking of photographs of the patient. Okay? Taking of photographs of the patient. Okay? Bawal po yan sa privacy ng pasyente. That's why, if ever we need to take photographs, okay, we need to ask permission of the patient. And then we also need to have the consent of your patient. And when we take about photographs, when we take photographs, we only take the ones which are clinically significant. We only take the one which are clinically significant. Ano pong ibig sabihin? Halimbawa, yung problema ng pasyente ko, may pasa siya dito. Okay? May pasa siya sa left arm niya. Pagkatapos, feeling ko maganda yung pasyente. Kaya nagagandahan ako sa kanya. Sabi ko, ma'am, pa-picture nga, tapos mukha yung pinipicture. Hindi po relevant ang mukha ng pasyente during that time. What is clinically significant is the pasa, is the bruise of the patient on the left arm. So I don't need to take a picture of her face. Okay? So you only take pictures that are clinically significant. Now, in the same way, if you are in the operating room, ito kadalasan, notice ko to sa mga students. Okay? First time halimbawa, pumunta ng operating room. Anong tendency, Magsi-selfie. Uy, first time ko dito sa OR. Tapos background ng selfie patient. Okay? Sir, hindi naman nakikita yung itsura ng pasyente. But if it will be brought to a court of law, you're giving people the idea that you are using cell phone inside the OR wherein you are not supposed to use it. Kahit hindi mo manalabas yung itsura ng pasyente, bakit may cellphone ka? That is a probable invasion of the privacy of the patient. Pagkatapos, kapag matalino yung kalaban mong side, pwede pang sabihin, bakit may cellphone siya? OR yan eh. OR is a sterile area. Dapat OR malinis na area. Bakit ka may hawak na cellphone? Doon sa area na kung saan dapat malinis siya. Di ba yung cellphone mo madumi? Tapos naka-gloves ka? Bakit may mga hawak-hawak ng cellphone? Kung kaya guys, the usual advice that we give talaga is that you are not allowed to post pictures of you in the hospital setting. Again, you are not allowed to post pictures of you on duty in the hospital setting. Bakit naman sir? Gusto ko lang sanang pakita sa crush ko kung gaano ako kaganda sa hospital. Guys, madaling hanapan ng pagkakamali ang mga pictures natin sa hospital. Again, madaling hanapan ng pagkakamali ang pictures natin sa hospital. Halimbawa, let's say for example, it's 10 a.m. right now. Tapos nag-post ka, sabihin mo, happy duty, naka-selfie ka halimbawa. Pagkatapos, walang nagreklamo kasi masaya ka naman sa duty mo, di ba? Sino ba naman magrereklamo? After 3 days na find out that your patient arrested or somebody in your station got a cardiac arrest. Tapos nakita, may picture ka at around 10 a.m. pa selfie ka. What does it indicate? You are not prioritizing patient care, pero yung ina-attend mo, yung cellphone. Yung iniintindi mo, yung selfie mo. Okay? So kung nakikita nyo guys, I'm telling you that there can be a lot of conclusions that can come from you taking pictures in the hospital setting. So that's why the general advice for you is that do not take pictures in the hospital setting, or else class you will be held liable. And if mag-take ng pictures later on as staff nurses, make sure it's clinically significant. Okay? Guys, ang common talaga na clinically significant pictures na tinitake po namin sa hospital setting is bed sores. Okay? Bed sores po ng pasyente. So we are taking the pictures of the bed sores. Pagkatapos, ano ang tawag natin dyan? That is done every 2 to 3 days depending on the hospital policy. So class, kapag mag-take po kami ng pictures ng bed sores, ano pong ginagawa namin, no? Halimbawa, may bed sore dito. Halimbawa, may bed sore dito. So guys, ang ginagawa namin, sinasabayan siya namin ng ruler. Ruler, halimbawa. Ano pong purpose ng ruler? Para po malaman kung gaano po siya kalaki. And the reason why I'm taking that picture is that I would also want to determine whether the bed sore is actually healing, or the bed sore is reducing in size, or lumalala nga ba yung bed sore. Yan po yung dapat nating isipin. So yan, pwede kang mag-take ng pictures. Other sensitive times wherein you can take pictures. However, class, this is only done by nurses who are trained. Ano po yung nangyayari? Okay? You take pictures when you are suspecting a woman to be a victim of abuse. You are taking pictures when that woman is suspected to be a victim of abuse. Since na-mention ko to guys, baka ma-encounter nyo later on. Halimbawa, pag may pupunta sa inyo sa ER, pagkatapos sasabihin, mga babae ba guys, no? Sorry ladies pero common talaga to nangyayari sa babae. Yung mga babae na pupunta, for example, ng ER, iyak ng iyak, tapos feels weak. Pagkatapos, plus may mga pasa yung babae. You right away suspect abuse. Okay? Tapos pagtatanungin mo, ma'am, anong nangyari? Iyak lang ng iyak. Ma'am, pwede mo akong kausapin? Iyak ng iyak. Kadalasan class kakagahasa lang yan or kakarape lang. Okay? So, what do you do as a nurse? Huwag kayong mag-volunteer na, ma'am, sige, halik po kayo, maligo po tayo. Huwag wag mong paliguan muna ang pasyenteng yan. As much as possible, do not touch the patient until the medical doctor would arrive. And then until the medical doctor would be able to collect already evidence. Now, if nasa abroad po tayo at saka trained tayo on collecting, we can actually start collecting. We can actually start collecting the evidence. Ano po yung evidence? Marami. Halimbawa, itong kuko. From the kuko class, you get all the samples that's there. Because the tendency is that if ginihasa yung isang tao, kadalasan is that they try to protect themselves by scratching another individual. So probably may teeth tooth dyan ang nag-rape sa kanya. Kalawa, lahat ng pasa sa katawan dapat ma-document. So pinipicturan po yan. Nilelabel whether left or right. Lahat ng articles ng pasyente tinatago. That would include the undergarments. Ibig ko sabihin, kasabay yung bra dyan, kasabay yung underwear ng pasyente natin. Okay? Nilalagay po yan sa isang plastic container para ma-secure in case that analysis will be needed. And then plus swab may be taken from the vagina of the patient, from the vaginal orifice of the patient. Okay? Para malaman kung may mga samples doon na pwedeng ma-identify to identify if who is the one who raped the patient. Okay? So ganon ha? Ganon yung dapat nating isip. So huwag kayong basta-bastang martir or huwag kayo basta-bastang excited to clean the patient. Because in that case, you would really need the patient as is. Okay? Unless the medical doctor has already cleared the patient. Now, that's it for pictures. Next, use of the patient's name or picture for the advantage of the healthcare agency. Ano pong ibig sabihin yan? Halimbawa, ipopost ko yung itsura ng pasyente. Tapos sasabihin ko, this patient has been cured by our doctor. Ginamit ko siya for marketing. Hindi po pwede. So we need the permission still of the patient before we can. Next, leaving the curtain or room door open while treatment or procedure is being performed. Halimbawa, nag-i-insert ka ng catheter sa ER, tapos naka-open yung legs ng pasyente mo, wide open ang legs. Tapos yung curtain mo, wide open na rin. Okay? Hindi po yung kasalanan ng pasyente mo, pero kasalanan mo yung bilang nurse that you were not able to protect the privacy of your patient. Okay, so you need to ensure that the patient will be private. Okay, cover. Cover. And kaya kayo guys, sanayin yung sarili nyo that you do not expose the parts of the patient that are not necessary to be exposed. Okay? Halimbawa sa akin, I'm taking is din kasi bilang an ER nurse. So what do I do? If hindi ko pa to nasabi, boys, kapag mag-take po tayo ng ECG, dapat may kasama tayong babae. Dapat may kasama tayong babae. Okay? Bakit? Lalaki tayo, Pagkatapos kapag yung patient, halimbawa, nilift ko lang yung damit niya kasi kailangan ma-expose yung chest by the time that ECG will be taken. Okay? Kapag sisigaw ang pasyente na rape, binastos ako, hinipo ako, wala akong magagawa. Guys, kapag wala akong kasama. Okay? There's nobody to defend me if wala akong kasama. So dapat boys, kung kayo yung mag-take kasi wala ng babaeng nurses halimbawa, you need to ask for assistance. Esther, sino po yung mag-a-assist, Pwede po yung nurse assistant, okay? Or pwede din yung supervisor mo, basta may babae kang kasama. It's also to protect the right of your patient. So, plus pag nagkukuha po tayo ng ECG, you will know the placement later on in MS. Okay? Guys, pwede nyo namang gawin yung ECG na hindi na i-expose yung boob ng pasyente or the breast of the patient is not exposed. Pwedeng ang itaas yung shirt, Pero guys, wag na up to the level. Pwede siyang gawin na hindi na i-expose yung breast ng patient. Okay? So that's why you only expose the parts that are necessary to be exposed. Next, other violations. If you allow the individuals to observe the treatment or procedure without the patient's consent. Halimbawa, the two staff nurses is inserting the Foley catheter. First day of duty natin sa hospital, tapos sabihin ko, oy princess, halika. Oy Eliza, halika. Nod tayo ng Foley catheter para malaman yun. Hindi pwedeng ganun. Kahit student nurse kayo, kahit clinical instructor ako, hindi pwedeng sabihin ko, pasok kami, manonood kami. Hindi pwedeng ganun. Dapat ipakilala ko kayo sa patient. Dapat mag-introduce ako sa patient. Ma'am, ako po pala yung clinical instructor nila. Ma'am, ako po pala yung mag-guide sa mga students. So, gusto po sana namin mag-observe ng catheter insertion. At gusto din po namin mag-assist. Okay lang po ba? Okay? Dapat we should ask. Pagkatapos, halimbawa, second year kasi kayo. Usually sa area, pag mag-duty kayo, tigsa 10. Okay? 10, yung ratio sa inyo, 10. Hindi pa pwede, Hindi pa pwede na pagpunta ng area, halika yung 10 dito, manood tayo ng catheter insertion. Hindi pwedeng ganun, Think, ikaw naman yung pasyente, what would you feel? What would you feel kung ikaw yung pasyente? That would be uncomfortable on your part. So kahit students tayo, kahit clinical instructor ako, we still need to ask permission from the patient if ever we would want to observe an observation. Okay, a procedure, I mean. Next, another thing is that leaving a confused or agitated patient sitting in the nursing unit hallway. Okay? Halimbawa, itong pasyente baliw, or binabaliw at this time. Tapos iniwan mo lang siya doon, sabihin mo, hayaan mo yan, baliw naman yan. You are invading the privacy of the patient. Your patient who is having psychosis, that's the term class for the baliw that we have. Your patient who's having psychosis might actually go naked there. Your patient might strip his clothes there, and his privacy is being impaired. Okay? So guys, if you will encounter psych patients, halimbawa, bigla lang, pupunta ng nurse's station, tapos huhubad. Okay? Huwag kang asumero na masyadong maganda at gwapo ka, kaya naghubad yung pasyente. May mental health problem lang talaga yung pasyente. Okay? So anong gagawin natin? Kumukuha po tayo ng kumot, cover the patient, and lead the patient to their rooms. Okay? Lead the patient to their rooms. Okay? Sir, baliw naman yun Oo nga guys, kasi baliw siya. We act as the surrogate. We act as the substitute of the patient to determine what's best for him. Then interviewing. When you interview, make sure na hindi lamang curtain yung pagitan ninyo. Baka mamaya nagtatanong ka, ma'am, when was your last sex? Ma'am, when was the last time that you had sexual contact? Ma'am, ilan po yung sexual partner natin? Sir, gaano po tayo kadalas gumaganyan? Okay? Hindi. Okay, do not ask those questions if you know that it's only the curtain that separates you. Sir, may kurtina naman, hindi naman makikita ng kabilang bed. Alam mo anong gagawin ng kabilang bed kapag marites yon? Pag alis mo, dahan-dahan yung imumove ang kurtina tapos aalamin sino kaya tong isang to sa kabila na lima yung talaga yung sex partner. Sino talaga tong isang sa kabilang bed na bakit 16 years old pa lang panay na ang sex. Okay? They are also curious, no? So, please do not do that when you're doing your interview in a private area also. Now, let us try to differentiate privacy and confidentiality. Although oftentimes parang they are used interchangeably, but they also have a difference. So, when I talk about privacy, privacy is a situation when a person is free from public interference. Okay? Private. Hindi siya public. That's the point. When I talk about confidentiality, the situation when the information is kept secret from the reach of any other person. Ano pong ibig sabihin? Sa confidentiality, isang grupo lang tayo. Alam natin ang information na to. Ako bilang nurse, ikaw bilang doctor, siya patient. Confidentiality, we do not share this to others. We do not share this to others. And when we talk about privacy of a person, okay, privacy usually deals with the person. Okay? Halimbawa, pag sabihin, oy, Quarks value privacy. Ibig sabihin, ayaw ko na may sumusunod sa akin sa SMCP. Ayaw ko class na alam kung saan ako. That's privacy. But when I say confidentiality, if I say my information should be kept confidential, what does it mean? It means that my information must not be shared with others. Okay? My information must not be shared with others. Kindly take note of that. So privacy is about a person, while confidentiality is about the information. Okay? That's one thing that we need to remember. Okay? So guys, yes, go ahead. You have a question, Ms. Balboa? So again, okay, on the question on that, suspension of license is temporary. Dismissal of license is considered to be permanent. So if ever na ma-prove na, uy, ay kasalanan ka sa privacy and confidentiality ng patient, first, pwede kang masuspend, pwede ka ding ma-dismiss ng license. Other than that, the hospital will also be taking caution. Okay? It could be also that the hospital will be part of the litigation or ng trial. So pwede ding si hospital managot kapag may kinalaman ka sa hospital, or pwede din na yung hospital mismo i-dismiss ka pagka alam na meron kang grave error. Okay? So maraming pwedeng mangyari. Pwedeng kaso na pwedeng ipiyansa, pwede ding kaso na kailangan mo magbayad ng damages. Pag sinabing damages, halimbawa, nag-post ka ng isang picture wherein that person is naked. And then that person can say that morally he has been damaged. Nasira yung moral niya sa ibang mga tao. Okay? And because of that, she has incurred around 10 million of expenses. Pagkatapos sasabihin niya, hindi ako makatulog for 2 months dahil sa ginawa niyang pag-post ng picture ko. Okay? There is emotional damages also. So pwedeng sabihin yung hindi pagtulog ng 2 months ng isang presidente, ng isang korporasyon, halimbawa kapag ganun yung posisyon niya, is tantamount to about 10 million. Okay? Kasi mataas yung posisyon niya eh. Hindi siya makatulog. Okay? May mga decision siyang pangit dahil sa ginawa mo sa kanya. Those are damages and you need to pay for them. Okay? So may mga ganong kinoconsider. So when you are proven guilty for that, no? So again, as I mentioned, suspension dismissal from the company, or it could be also suspension dismissal from your license. If it's grave, then it might involve imprisonment. Sige, I can see other questions. Yes, Rinia.
Sir, wait lang po yung pumangin ko po. Pag daw po ba magbibigay po ng permission si patient, verbally lang po ba siya or kailangan po yung sa paper para po isa-sign po niya?
Ano yung pinag-uusapan nating permission?
Kunwari po, ilalabas po.
Information?
Opo, kunwari po, yung sasakit po niya, ganun, sabihin po dun sa iba.
Ano talaga? It should be signed. It should be signed. Okay? By experience, no? Kasi Filipino culture nga naman. The later part of this discussion, we'll be talking about the effect also of the culture. In the Filipino culture, pag sinabi actually ng patient na, oy sige, pwede mo na yung i-release sa family members ko. We also consider that also as correct. No? We consider that. But if you are in the setting abroad, you really need them to make the patient sign a disclosure agreement. Okay? In fact nga, dito sa Pinas, kapag ideal setting talaga yung ifa-follow, dapat ka magpa-sign ka talaga sa pasyente. Okay? Pero kapag titingnan mo yung Filipino culture, by the time that the patient will say, oh sige, pwede mo nang paalam sa asawa ko, pwede mo na rin ipaalam sa pamilya ko. We often give that a consideration too. Okay? Pero pag board exam yung sasagutan mo, dapat may disclosure talaga na nakasulat. Ha? Pag real setting, ganun yung sabi ko. Okay, thank you for asking that question. No? Sige. Next question. Who's that? Rimia, tapos ka na, no? Or si Erica ba? Sige, Rimia, ikaw na siguro.
Sir, tinanong lang po ng classmate ko po, paano po kapag nalaman daw po ng iba, pero yung patient po yung nagsabi, pero sinisisi po yung sa nurse? Paano po ipoprove ng nurse yung sarili niya, na hindi po siya yung nagsabi nun?
Nakakainis yung ganon. Nakakainis yung ganon. Ang advance yung mag-isip. Pero you know what? It's possible. It's possible. If that's the case, how can the nurse prove it? How can the nurse prove it? Alam mo na pumasok sa isip ko, hire a lawyer. Hire a lawyer na lang. Anong gagawin mo bilang nurse? As long as you have done your part, not to divulge the information to others, rest assured that you will be proven by law to be not guilty. Okay, but then that will be a taxing story on your part because you will still have the burden to prove yourself that you are not guilty. Okay, mahirap din naman kasi for the patient to prove that it is you who divulged the information. Okay, mahirap for the patient to prove that you are the ones who divulged the information. Kailangan na din naman ng witness. Kapag totoo na hindi ikaw nag-divulge tapos may nakuha siyang witness, that witness could be sued of perjury. Pag sinabi natin perjury, ibig sabihin nag-lie siya under oath. Okay, nag-lie siya under oath. Okay? Hopefully hindi mangyari sa inyo yung mga ganon ha. Bakit ako may hopefully? Kasi ang complex na ngayon ng society. Minsan yung mga hindi ko inaasahan na mangyayari. No? Nangyayari na kasi ngayon. Sige, go ahead. May isa pang question. Erica, di pa ba kita natanong? Sige, Erica.
Sir, ask ko lang po, what if po yung isang nurse, nagkwento lang po sa kapwa niya po nurse or like best friend, family, pero she's not divulging naman po anything information po sa chart or specific disease po ng patient. Parang intention niya lang, no intention din po na manira, ganyan. Ang intention lang po is parang mag-vent out po, parang how her duty went, ganon. Bawal din po ba yun?
Pag magkaganon, make sure, no, my advice to you, make sure that that person could be really trusted. Make sure that that person could be really trusted. You know what? If you're answering the board examinations and if you're talking about ideal situation, hindi pwede. Pwede kang mag-vent out na paggoda ka na sa life, pwede ka nang mag-vent out na parang ayaw mo na ring mag-nurse, pero hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na itong patient ko kasi sa room, blah, 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 no? Hindi na pwedeng ganon. Pag may details talaga ng pasyente, hindi talaga pwede. Okay? So, pag magkaganon, no, if you're doing that, make sure that you can really trust the person that you are talking to. Okay? Sige. You're asking good questions. Parang ay nakikita ko na pinipicture nyo na kung ano yung mangyayari sa clinical setting nyo later on. Okay? Nangyayari talaga yan. Sige. Other questions in mind? Nagsisearch ako ng videos habang nagtatanong kayo. So, magandang kwento to guys, no? Tapos, huwag kayong bibili ng Netflix ha. Pag may mother kayong or father na magko-contact sa akin, oy sir, bakit mo pinapabili ng Netflix itong mga bata? Okay? Hindi ako yan ha. Okay? So, the purpose of this activity is for you to know. Okay? It's for you to know how that there are also ethical problems that are happening around the globe. Okay? This is not actually in our setting, but this is in the US setting. And I hope that you will find it interesting. Baka next time makapag-sharing tayo. Okay? Other questions pa nga ba? Okay, I can see na wala na.